Pike's pushed more and far up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope everybody
is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is enjoying himself watching. And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, everyone, wherever you may be watching from in the world, and welcome back to the JP Broadcasting channel here for round number 4 of the Penguin RC Simcar Grand Am Gt3 series here out at Road America. I'm your commentator here today, Hamish Munro, joined alongside by Jim Cunningham this week. Jim, you're a local to the US. You are ready and rocking to go for some GT3 action. As someone who races GT3 cars, what is Road America like in these things? Because personally for me, it's a bit of a headache when I come here in a GT3 car, but what's it like from your perspective?
Well, Road America is one of the classic American road racing tracks. It's been around. I didn't do the research to see when it opened, but it's been around for a long time, and it's a classic. You know, I wasn't a fan of it years ago, but it's kind of grown on me, and I actually like the circuit now. It's very popular with the world endurance type cars, and of course that, you know, including like the GT3s and the LMP cars. Yeah, I mean, it's narrow at places, and it's you know, there's a few spots to pass, but otherwise it's tough. It's great for smaller cars, but these GT3s, a couple of them going side by side, takes up a lot of the road. But it's you know, it's a fun track, and I don't know any drivers that hates coming here, especially if you're American, because it's the classic you know, road course. It's located in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and which is beautiful country up there, and it's you know, it's just one of those iconic American tracks.
It is. I feel like this circuit is one of those little. It's kind of it's overlooked, I think, quite a lot by a lot of drivers, and it's a circuit that offers, I think, sort of, it feels like 3 different circuits in one a little bit. You get some high speed stuff early in the lap, then you get the real technical stuff throughout the mid portion, and then you've kind of got this real chaotic and hold your breath section up towards through the kink and up towards Canada Corner and Thunder Valley at the end of the lap as well. But I think it offers up a lot of great racing. I mean, there's a lot of passing opportunities around here, turn 1, turn 3, turn 5, and then even up towards Canada Corner as well. But there's also a lot of opportunities for mistakes to be made, and a lot of opportunities for incidents to happen when some drivers maybe get a little bit overzealous with how they are approaching an overtake, and they could quite easily lock it up into one of those hard braking zones and end up taking another car with them into the sand trap.
Yeah, it's yeah. Well, actually, last race I had here, I did that to someone.
I feel like everyone has, so I wouldn't feel so bad about it.
Yeah. No, it's, you know, like you said, it's you know, it's got a little bit of everything. Some hard sweeping turns that, you know, require delicate touch. Yeah, it's just it's fun. We're gonna get some good racing tonight. I know that.
So we come into this round with the championship as close as it has ever been. In terms of the AM class of the series, it's currently being led by Carsten Quint of Solpec Precision Racing on 237 points. Marwin Mofta at the moment for Red Design or R Design is in P2 on 221 points, and then Dylan Hunter a bit further back for R Design as well on 179. So that top three is slightly more spread out than what our pro class is here, with Blake Reynolds leading the championship for Solpec Precision Racing on 251 points coming into this round. Michael Gonzalez of Penguin RC Simulation trails him by only 1 point, Jim. 250 points, and then Justin El Nasir for Penguin RC Simulation on 178 points further back. So it is becoming a two-horse race at the front end of that pro championship. For the teams at the moment, it's separated by 3 points. Solpec Precision Racing currently on 441, with Penguin RC Simulation following closely behind on 438, then Silverback Racing further back on 254 points. But qualifying's coming our way, Jim. How important do you think qualifying is at this circuit? Because I have a feeling that it's actually quite important and quite imperative for these drivers to maximise on their qualifying because of the possibilities of a mid-pack massive fireworks display at turn 1 where we could have multiple cars spun round before we've even gotten underway properly.
Oh, absolutely. You definitely want to qualify up close to the front as you can here. For that reason, certainly, because there's guaranteed going to be some mid-pack stuff going on the first couple of laps. But also just, there are passing opportunities here, but, any one of them can cause some trouble. So the closer you are up front in the clean air you can get out in and just separate yourself, those guys start battling in the back, it's going to be tough to work your way through a thick pack back there.
So, of course, with the rules of this series, racing room must be left for other cars when they're going for a move. There's no turning across anyone mid-corner, so it does mean that we get a lot of opportunities for great battles to happen and passing opportunities to be aplenty. There's multiple cars running it wide at the final corner, including Roman Ratu, who's run it out wide up onto the straight. But it's a fast run up this hill down towards turn 1, Jim. Very, very important braking zone, though. Very easy to lock a brake down here, and very easy as well to make a mistake, get a little bit of a wiggle through the corner and end up in the sand on the outside and get yourself an early off track that kind of ruins the rest of the lap for you.
Yeah, it's you've got to nail that corner there to carry your speed through here. That's a wide sweeping little turn right through there, and if you don't get off that first corner, it's tough. There is a little it drops in a little bit at the beginning of that corner, and it does have a little camber there. So the car bite's pretty good. That's a tough corner right there. That I've hit that sand trap I can't tell you how many times. And this is a blind corner here. Oh,
it is. You're coming up into the hill, into the braking zone, and around turn 6. And if there's a car across the road, you've got pretty much half a second to decide where you're going to put your car before you run into the side of them. So it's a very blind corner. Of course, the carousel as well. This corner can be quite tough, just trying to run on that ragged edge of grip around this whole corner whilst maximising your speed. And it's quite similar to sort of the bowl section of Daytona, where you're trying to just hug that inside line of the corner the whole way around, and then the kink. I mean, this corner could throw up a heap of carnage. So if someone makes a mistake through there, it's a fast-paced corner, very, very easy to end up in the wall and end up with a lot of damage on your car.
Yeah, those cars are flying through there. Probably the fastest part of the track, and it's also one of the narrowest spots on the track.
It almost feels like you're driving through a forest through there. It feels like a forest country road up through the hills as Blake Reynolds comes around the final corner. He had a faster sector, but he's been pipped by one of the other drivers as he comes up towards the line First time on the clock for them now as they come through. Have any of them copped an off-track this lap? They haven't. Blake Reynolds has gone P1, but Kingsbury's gone past for driver for hire with a 2:04.606. So the times are close, but they're very quick and very competitive at this stage, Jim. But there's not much room for improvement when you're hitting 4.6s. I don't know if we're going to see any 3s in this session particularly.
Yeah, it's probably not. It doesn't. That's a jump. That's a second and a half. You know, I don't think we'll see any 3s.
Well, Nasir's now gone P1, 2:04.566 at this point. He's a little bit further back in the championship order compared to the top 2, but he's done well.
The track temperature is a little warm today too, so that's not gonna help. Well, I assume it's warm.
Well, it's 21,
it's
so
fed to me.
It's prime conditions at the moment. It's 21 degrees centigrade, which is about 70 Fahrenheit, so it's prime conditions.
Okay. I couldn't do the conversion. I was looking at it. That's us dumb Americans, man. I couldn't do this.
So
couldn't do the conversion fast enough to figure out the track.
To keep in memory, when a track's hot is when it's around about 40 degrees centigrade or above. That's when the track's hot. If it's around about 19 or 21, it's quite cold. That's like prime conditions for quick lap times is when it's down towards 19 and 21.
Yes, 70 in the 70-degree range is definitely prime conditions.
Yeah.
I need to work on my conversion, or at least switching over the metric away from the metric system on my data.
So Paul Mikolajczyk up towards the line. He has a faster second sector at the moment. Has he gone into the top 10? He has P5. What a time from him.
Into the 3.
Reynolds got a 3. So Reynolds from Solpec's gone 3, 2:03.963. So we have seen a 3, but it's a high 3. Mikolajczyk's now been dropped down to P6 on the road with a 2:04.842. So times are close. Yet to set a time though is Michael Gonzalez, who's challenging for this title, ahead against defending champion Blake Reynolds. There's only a point between them, Jim. So one poor race tonight from either driver could really swing this championship across both races. It is going to be imperative that they both have a clean run, and for Gonzalez, he needs to try and beat Reynolds on track.
Well, and something to point out is I don't know how much practice Michael Gonzalez got this week, but we know that he didn't get a bunch tonight here on the track. He arrived a little late, and I don't think we saw him turn any laps during practice, did we?
Oh, do we think maybe his simulated flight to Wisconsin was maybe delayed, and that's why he didn't quite get the practice in this evening?
Maybe. Maybe the truck might have been delayed, got stopped by the cheese truck, that hangs over the track there.
We're going to try and fill this with as many cheesy jokes as we can, Jim, being that this is cheese country out of Wisconsin.
I tell you what, man, we got the cheese truck, and then we got the Mission Tortilla bridge right here.
We're set up for a quality meal at this point. Just a quesadilla.
We're just some taco. Yeah, we're just taco meat away from having some good tacos.
Olivier Guadalupe in the chat with us once again. Bonsoir too. Great to have you here out there with us, Olivier. Pretty sure from memory, Olivier is Roman Ratu's father, if I recall. Roman's found himself in a good spot at the moment. P4 on the road in qualifying for Mecca Esports. The only international driver out there outside of North America for Roman. We only have 2 Canadians on track tonight, Justin Nasir and Carsten Quint as well. Rest of the field, it's full-blooded, automatic gunfire Americans out on track with this, Jim. So everyone is there. They're racing for freedom at this stage. As Gonzalez has found himself some freedom. He's gone pole position, 2:03.735. Phenomenal time from him. So both the championship contenders, and the only ones to hit the 3s just yet, and they've got a hell of a gap back to Kingsbury on their lap times.
Yeah, I'd never take a practice lap in my life if I could jump in the car first time and turn a 2:03.7. That's fantastic.
Phenomenal effort. It is a phenomenal effort from them to get that done.
Gotta love those McLarens.
Oh, you do.
I'm a McLaren. Yeah, I'm a McLaren driver
I
myself.
I love the new McLaren it's got a massive buff, but it's a beautiful machine, isn't it? I wish they had kept the joke going of giving us the flamethrower out the back. Like, how hard would it have been just to put some flames there?
Not at all.
No.
Not tough at all. They should have done that.
They could have easily done it. It's quite
Yes.
disappointing that they didn't, if I'm honest.
Well, there's a lot of McLarens in the top 10 here.
There are currently 6 McLarens inside the top 10. Only 2 of the other McLarens are outside, being Carson Quint and Jason Lynn. Both the Mustangs further back in the field of Rob Edgell and Dylan Hunter. Josh Ondo in his Corvette still hasn't set a time. Neither is Ray Kingsbury of Solpec Precision Racing in his Porsche. Marlon Mofta, John Ebersol, the only other Corvettes outside the top 10, with Kevin Fanning and Blake Reynolds representing the Chevrolet inside the 10, with Anthony Flores and Roman Batu representing the Piggy Porkers up inside the top 6 at this stage. But Gonzalez leads qualifying. We've got under 5 minutes to go in this session, Jim, and I don't know if I can see anyone beating those times of Gonzalez and Reynolds other than Gonzalez or Reynolds.
To be honest, I didn't expect to see a 2-second jump from when you asked me earlier if there was going to be any threes. So I wouldn't put anything past one of these guys, like Blake Reynolds or somebody to come up there and jump back ahead of Gonzalez. But that's a heck of a lap.
It's a phenomenal time from him. He's really found his groove out here at Road America. And I know you questioned if he's had much practice. Well, he's obviously been practicing in the background outside of the official practice session prior to the race. He's going to cross the line again to continue his run here out through qualifying. We've got around about 3.5 minutes to go in this session as Dylan Hunter finally joins the circuit for qualifying. This would be his first attempt at a lap when he comes back around. Now, have you had much time to drive the Mustang, Jim? Because I've driven this car quite a fair bit, and it's very taily, and you can try and set it up to fix that, but all of a sudden, once you fix it, it does not want to turn at all.
No, yeah, I love. Personally, I grew up having Mustangs. I've been a big Mustang fan most of my life. I jumped all over that car when it came out, but I can't drive it.
It's a beautiful car, but it does not drive as well as it looks.
And it's absolutely the best sounding GT3.
Easily.
Easily.
Easily. You know what? Let's go on the gearbox just to hear it, because it is a beautiful car. Like, just the roar of this V8 is incredible. It is such a good sound.
About a month ago here in Houston, the Red Bull traveling show thing came through, and they had their Formula One car, and they had and one of the cars they brought with them was a Mustang GT3 car. And so they all made a pass up and down this road and did some burnouts and donuts and stuff. And man, the sound of that Mustang GT3 car in person is incredible. It has such a rumble about it as well. Like, it's such a raw, guttural sound that comes out of the rear end of this car. Like, yes.
It's almost primal in how it sounds. It's incredible. Now, not to take anything away from the Corvette, which came out at the same time as the Mustang, it sounds nice as well. But imagine if it had that guttural roar of the V8 out of the back of it.
Yeah, and I think Ford, the approach they took to the GT3 car is very similar to the approach that Cadillac took to the GTP car. We could run a turbocharged motor, but we're going to keep it simple. We're going to go old school with a normally aspirated V8 and just produce just a ton of good old American horsepower. It
really lives up to the American stereotype of put a V8 in it and let it just do its thing, which I can appreciate so much. It is. It's beautiful in its concept, and it's beautiful in its sound. If it performed as well as it does in real life, it would be a number one choice on many drivers' lists in GT cars.
The guys that can drive that car, though, can get it fast.
Oh, they can.
My particular league that I race in, the guy who's won the majority of our races this season drives one, and man, he can drive it. Nobody, I mean, he's a half a second faster than anybody else, and we got some real aliens in that league. And
I think it more so comes down to how well can you set that car up. I think that's really where it comes down to. We've only got a couple of seconds left in qualifying. Kingsbury's just crossed the line. Oh, he's just missed out on bettering his time. Only a 10th.5 slower as qualifying comes to an end. And it's Michael Gonzalez on the pole position with that 2:03.74 that he set himself. He was unable to go any better in this qualifying session. Heat 1 coming your way, though, as Michael Gonzalez will start pole position for Penguin RC Simulation alongside Solpec Precision Racing's Blake Reynolds on the front row of the grid. Anthony Flores and Matt Kingsbury will start P3 and P4 with Kevin Fanning and Justin Nasir making up the top 6 cars. Roman number 2 and Paul Mikolajczyk will make up the top 8 with Brian Son and Joshua Filior for the top 10. Josh on debut here this evening. Ray Kingsbury and John Ebersol will start P11 and 12. Ebersol will start P1 for the AMs as we move back to Marlon Mofta, Carsten Quinn, Rob Edgell, Jason Lynn, Josh Undo and Dylan Hunter at the back end of the field. 18 cars on the grid tonight, Jim, and this could be one hell of a fight at the front end between Gonzalez and Reynolds, but the mid-pack, that could be something to keep an eye on as well.
There's no doubt we're going to see some good action at mid-pack. But it's gonna be a nice battle with those two, out in front of the field. They're probably gonna stretch it out a little bit pretty quick, and see how hard they push each other up there.
So you can see the cars lined up on the grid. It'll be a full lap rolling start here at Road America. Now, I suppose it's really going to come down to which car has the better run off the start. I mean, does the McLaren have the better acceleration, or does the Corvette have the better acceleration when it's a rolling start, especially when you're rolling up a hill and then up onto the flat for the slightly downhill run towards turn 1. So this could be a very interesting start, and there may be some free positions for drivers just based on how they've got the car set up and how well it actually gets itself off of a rolling start line. Yeah,
and the inside line on turn 1 here is relatively important. It can be tough to make that outside work in turn 1. It's not that wide there, and it's like I said, it's downhill, and there's a lot of camber on that inside. You can see it right here in this shot in the camera. So he's gonna have to get ahead of him and get down on that bottom line, I think, or that's Michael's should be leading after turn 1, unless Blake can just pass him in between there in the first corner.
Well, I know that you're a lover of the McLaren, but you're also obviously a full-blooded American as well, Jim. Is this just really challenging your sense of identity at the moment, having the Corvette go one-on-one with the McLaren?
No, not at all, actually. To be honest with you, I own every one of the GT3 cars. I like driving. I like driving all of them, and all of them have a place, But no, the only one that would tug at my heartstring would be the Mustang. If it was a Mustang up there, just because like I said, I grew up a Mustang guy, But no, at this point, I probably would be okay with the McLaren. It's fine with me. I just want to see some good racing.
So do I. I love watching just phenomenal GT racing. It's the reason why I'm such a big IMSA fan. It's tough to watch IMSA here in Australia because some races start at about 5 a.m. for me, and it's tough to catch, especially some of those Grand Prix. It's very, very difficult to catch them, but there's been some phenomenal racing in that series this year. Petit Le Mans was incredible. 6 hours at the Brickyard was fantastic as well. And, of course, Daytona 24-hour. What a race that was, as well the Sebring 12-hour too. So, but, I mean, I think what I love seeing this year as well in IMSA.
Sorry,
what were you going to say?
Sebring was my first.
Your first race?
Sebring was my first ever. first ever GT sports car race back in 1988, I believe.
Okay.
It was when, or maybe 89. It was when the Jaguars with Martin
yes.
Brundle, when Martin
Yes.
Brundle was driving the Jaguars back in those days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the Nissan with Jeff Brabham driving the Nissan with Derek Bailey. I mean Derek Bell.
One thing
Yeah,
that I
good
would
times back
recommend, one thing I'd recommend to any sports car fans out there, if you want to go back and watch some fantastic, just old great sports car racing, go and find some old JGTC races. Like mid-90s when the Supras and the R33 Skylines were really starting to get in form, when they had the wide bodies on them. The NSX was out there as well.
Yes.
It's such a phenomenal series of the mid-90s. One of the best sports car series in the mid-90s. You also had the wide-body Porsches as well. And there's such great talent in that field. Former F1 drivers in that field as well. Phenomenal racing, but we're going to get ready to go green very shortly, Jim. But
Yeah, let's do that.
so the safety car will drag them up through Thunder Valley up towards the final corner. Do you have a prediction for this race start? Because I don't know if I do. Both Reynolds and Gonzalez have been very strong.
I think that Gonzalez is, like I said, turn one is really tough. So I think Gonzalez is going to come out of this up front. It's going to be hard to beat him down far enough to cut in front of him. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Gonzalez. There they go. Going up the hill here.
As we come up the hill, it is time to go racing. 30 laps of Road America to come your way. Green flag being flown as Gonzalez and Reynolds drag race up towards turn one. We can see Flores is already poking a nose up there. He's already alongside and past Reynolds in towards turn one. So Reynolds has dropped a spot early and he could drop another one with Kingsbury in behind as well. Kingsbury and Nasir, they could double team him here and get past to help their teammate gain some massive points over Reynolds in this championship as Gonzalez leads the way down towards turn number 5. Well, the gaps are already set and it's super, super tight in towards the braking zone, Jim, but everyone is spread out slightly.
They're 3 wide back there. Look
Oh,
at this.
they are. Ratu gets the jump on through from them. It's a great run. Reynolds
Wow.
and Kingsbury, though,
That
side by
was-
side. Oh, very, very good moves thus far, Jim. Very good moves thus far from these drivers. And some nice, close, but very fair racing as well, which we love to see.
These Penguin RC teammates of Gonzalez are all over the back of Reynolds right here. Reynolds has got by Kingsbury now.
Yeah, so he has. He's gone past Kingsbury, but Nasir and Mikolajczyk will be wanting to chase him down at this point just to put the pressure on him.
Sure. Yeah, he's going to have them in his mirror. He's going to be, he's going to be worried about them because they are all over him back there.
Oh, there's been a moment down at the kink. It's a massive shunt down there. Multiple cars are damaged. Oh, my God.
That was a big accident.
That was
a big accident right
huge.
there.
Oh, and Flores is gone as well.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. What a way to end out lap 1. But, yeah, I had a feeling, Jim, that was at some point in this race it was going to happen at the kink. And it's more than likely was going to happen on lap 1 because the field is so close. It's such a fast corner. It all started with Rob Edgell having a moment down there. So we'll follow him in the Panda Spec Motorsport Red Mustang. Has this thing just done a Mustang thing and turned its rear? No, he's run it way wide. Oh, so hang on, no. So there was already a moment earlier.
No.
So it was actually further up. It was Jason Lynn. So there was that moment with the Porsche. Oh my God. That was huge. I believe that was Ray Kingsbury. It was Ray Kingsbury who had the off track down there. Oh no.
Man, he turned that one head on into the wall there.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I'm still learning these drivers in the series, but that blue McLaren there, he looks like he got sideways and nobody tagged him.
He was pretty
lucky.
He was pretty lucky. I think that might have been it was Jason Lynn. That's such a tough moment to have happen, and nothing against Ray Kingsbury there, but a lot of that probably could have been saved if he'd actually held his brakes on that incident. It probably didn't help that his car then rolled back onto the road and then was kind of parked at a very difficult and tight spot on the track. That quite possibly could have been a whole lot better, or slightly better, we'll say, if he'd actually held his brakes. But nothing against him on that one. That's an unfortunate incident. No one's really at fault, Jim. That's just a mistake on Ray's part.
No, and that split second where you're trying to, save it somehow or, lessen the damage, and, it happens. It's easy to say, hold your brakes, we all do it, but that's tough. That was a tough break for him and a lot of other people. There's a lot of guys going to be in the pits getting some damage repaired now. Oh,
including Dylan Hunter in the Mustang, Carsten Quinn in the McLaren as well. You can see Nasir and is that Kingsbury behind? It is Kingsbury. So Kingsbury behind him as well. Paul Mikolajcik's now just gotten past Roman Ratu side by side through turn one. So a good little move there from Mikolajcik. This could be quite a tasty sort of mid-pack battle here, Jim. There's around about 7 or so cars in this pack, and the more that they rubber band into each other, the better this battle's going to get, because we're going to see moments of 3 cars wide into a corner. We're going to see moments of dive bombs happening, but the drivers have to leave the room as well, who are being passed. So this could really start to turn into something that's quite tasty for us to sink our teeth into.
Yeah, this is definitely going to is probably the best racing on the track right now. This is it's a nice little pack here, and they are definitely running nose to tail.
See Ratu on board with him now, trying to chase down Paul Mikolajcik inside the top 10. This is the battle for P5 on the road. Mikolajcik just ahead of him. He's got Joshua Fillior in behind him. Josh on his debut here this evening in the McLaren. He didn't list a team name when he signed up, Jim, so we could assume he's running as a privateer at the moment, I would say, but Roman has done well in this race. He's already up a spot. Biggest gainer thus far, though, Josh Ondo. He took advantage of that early moment down at the kink. He's now up 5 spots in this race and up inside the top 12 as Mikolajcik runs it wide at Canada corner. Opportunity for a pass. Both cars go by of Ratu and Fillior, and Roman Ratu now up 2 spots and into the top 5. But for how long, Jim? Because he's under pressure from Fillior in behind him.
Yeah, that was a nice move there. They took advantage of that, and we'll see. He's really on him right here. Oh, he's going to make a move here, try to take it on the outside.
We saw Ratu lose the position from the outside, with Mikolajcik running around him at turn 1. Last lap, is it going to happen the same time with Fillior? This time it does. But realistically, it is controlling the controllable and actually just racing your race at this point. He's not trying to over-defend. He's happy to give up these positions because he's not actually taking a big net loss on these loss of positions here. He's still in the fight. He's still able to get him back, but banging doors with a McLaren down the straight may not be such a smart move. You have to take a breath because that could have ended very poorly.
Yeah, and well, you can't forget here they invert the first 8 positions. Isn't that correct for the feature?
I believe so, but it's a total of 30 laps, but it's only a 15-minute race, so it's a 15-minute time limit in this session.
Right, and then they come back for the 45-minute race, and they invert the top 8.
Yes,
correct?
Yes, they do.
So losing a couple of positions when you're sitting around 5th or 6th isn't the worst thing in the world.
Well, he's P7 at the moment. If he were to finish where he is, he'll be on the front row of the grid. So
exactly,
it's not such a poor loss.
No, not at all.
So
certainly not worth tearing your car up over.
No, it's not. But I mean, Mikolajcik and Ratu now, they've started to break away from Son and Fanning. So Ratu may not be at risk of getting put into the provisional pole of race 2, but what he is safe from is getting swarmed by the 3 cars in behind Son, who could actually knock him outside of the top 8 and knock him outside of that reverse grid opportunity.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
And
that's what they're all fighting.
It is. That's what they're fighting for. Realistically, they're fighting for a couple of extra points, but they're also fighting for the opportunity at getting on the front row for race 2, where it could really matter a lot more than this.
They're fighting for the lead of the feature race.
Exactly. It might be an offset lead, but it's still a lead, and that's what they're trying to fight for. I wonder how a race would go if you. So we've got 18 cars on the grid. So if you inverted the top 9. But then you also inverted the bottom 9 in 2 separate packs. So if you put P9 in P1 and P10 into P18, I wonder how they'd feel about that.
That'd be interesting. But it seems that, there's no poor drivers in this field. These are all these guys, they're good drivers. It wouldn't be as devastating as it would be if you did it in an official one of the iRacing official races, where if you take the back guys and put them in mid pack, you're guaranteeing to destroy half the field.
Oh, that's exactly right.
all these guys are good drivers.
They are. I mean, you can see it right here. They're going too wide through turn 7. I mean, as we've got Mofta trying to find a line through, can't quite get it, runs it wide. So a little bit of a triple threat Corvette battle happening here through the carousel. This will start to heat up further throughout the race. But up front, Blake Reynolds is right on the back of Michael Gonzalez. And they've started to gap out in a sear at the moment.
Less than 0.2 of a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really bumper to bumper up here. And have been. I've been watching this while we were looking at that mid-pack battle. They've been 0.2 of a second off of each other now for 2 laps. They're all over each other.
And I don't think Reynolds will necessarily be willing to battle this too hard towards the end of the race, because obviously he doesn't want to risk dropping off the circuit and dropping more points over Gonzalez. Now the pressure's now on Gonzalez to hold P1 to take a net gain over Reynolds in the championship standings. But what it is doing is it's keeping them at the front of the field. They're both getting a good solid chunk of points. And we may see Reynolds maybe just tentatively start to attack him, possibly in the last sort of, maybe 3 minutes of this race, where we could see 2 laps to go. So that might be where we start to see Reynolds try and attack Gonzalez if he has the ability to attack him.
Yeah, and you got some, looks like there's a lap car coming up. That could create an opportunity if, say, the guy who's getting lapped makes a shady move or something and causes Gonzalez to have to react to it or something.
Well, that is Carson Quinn, which is actually Blake Reynolds' teammate of Solpec Precision Racing. Oh. So you would hope he moves out of the way.
They wouldn't do anything like that.
Well, no. I'm not claiming anything of the sorts, Jim. I'm just pushing the narrative forward that maybe if Carsten were to just brake check Michael here, Blake could just swing up his inside, maybe line up a move for themselves, possibly. But no, I don't believe they would do that. I think once Michael's on the back of Carsten, he's more than likely just going to move over and let him go. It's not particularly in the rules to need to do that, as it wouldn't be in real racing.
You can guarantee, though, he won't hold his teammate up.
Oh, no, I guarantee you, if his teammate's behind him, he's parking the car on the side of the road and just welcoming him by. And you can see Michael, he's already getting frustrated, flashing the lights at Quinn. He does not want to be held up. He does not want any of this team play to cost him in this race. You have to feel that Carson's going to let him go now. That's a good spot to let him pass. I mean, he hasn't particularly held him up.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's textbook. And that's certainly not playing any games,
Well, that's actually cost his own teammates some time, though, actually, because the gap's now out to 0.59 of a second. So that's actually hurt Blake.
He gave him too much room.
Yeah. And an off track for Reynolds as well off the exit of turn 1. So
you can believe it won't be a lap or two, and he'll be right back eating on that back bumper again. Oh,
he will. I mean, we'll only have a couple laps to go in this race. Most likely, probably 2 more laps actually. You probably get the white flag next time by, but to gain half a second and get the move done in the span of a lap and a half, that's very difficult to do, especially around here where there are so few passing opportunities early in the lap if you do not have the raw pace over your competitor. And then realistically, your only opportunities after that is probably if you're able to get the run through the kink and get into the braking zone of Canada Corner at the end of the Forest Straight.
Yeah, or just, catch a good, exit off of, the final turn there and just get a run down the straight on him, and beat him into turn 1. Like we've seen a couple passes there like that already. But points aside, he's probably not pushing too hard to pass him. But I'm sure if the opportunity arises, he will, because he wants the points lead. So
Yeah, he will.
Or wants to keep the points lead, right? He's the points leader. So
Well, at this stage, I believe Reynolds is leading by a point. Yeah, Blake Reynolds is leading by a point. So Gonzalez will take back the lead of the championship from Blake after this race. But it's more so really going to come down to race 2 where there's more points on offer. It's a longer run home. There's more opportunity for you to make mistakes. So realistically speaking, it doesn't matter so much that Gonzalez is beating Reynolds in race 1. He needs to try and beat him in race 2 where there's a bigger points gap between P1 and P2.
Sure. And they're going to have to come through some traffic, because where they're sitting right now, they're going to be 7 and 8. And he's flashing him. I'm sure Gonzalez is just going to slide right out of the way and let you by.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. Final lap of this race, though, as we come down towards turn 3. He'll just park it over. He'll find a nice, down at turn 5, in the car park off the exit. Yeah, sure, have P1. Hold your championship lead over me, Blake. Why don't you come on through? But no, Michael's done well in this race. Obviously, he started on pole. He had the pace over the field in qualifying. Blake was there. He sent it up his inside. Oh, that's a dive and a half, and it's never going to go right down at turn 5. Reynolds has been spun around. No. Nasir and Kingsbury come past him into the podium positions. And honestly,
exactly what we were talking about.
If I'm going to put the blame on anyone, the blame kind of has to go to Reynolds on that one. He's just sent it up his 100%. Inside from about 2 car lengths back. Like, Gonzalez wouldn't even know he's there.
Yeah, no, that was 100% on. I'm shocked that he did that right there. I mean, I get what he was trying to accomplish, but the ramifications of that, I mean, we're still early in the season and there's plenty of time for championship, but that was unnecessary. I mean, he was probably got caught up in the moment. Thought he would take a run at it and try to get it, but that was a bit of a mistake there.
It was. But at the end of this one, we will come up towards the start-finish line. Michael Gonzalez has got himself a solid chunk of points here over his championship rival in Blake Reynolds. For Penguin RC Simulation, up to the start-finish line now for Michael Gonzalez. Checkered flag is out, and it's a race win for him in race number 1 at Road America. Justin Nasir, his teammate, will make it a 1-2 finish with Matt Kingsbury on the podium here for Driver for Hire to make it an all-McLaren top 3. Reynolds will come home P4 on the road in his Corvette, and that's just, Reynolds, don't crack it at Michael. You dived him by about 2 car lengths back. That's very poor form from the championship leader. Brian Son has come home in P8 on the road here, Jim, and he will take provisional pole position for race number 2. There may be hell to pay for Blake, though, for that reaction at the end of this race. That's not a hot look for him.
Yeah, I don't know. I did read through the rules of the series today a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. That's probably not going to be viewed too kindly. Yeah, I don't. That's.
Oh,
what can you say?
Any argument he may have had, it's probably just gone out the window now. Unfortunately for him.
Yeah, watch the replay. He didn't have an argument. It's not like Gonzalez did not even cut across to the apex of that turn. He stayed out wide.
Yeah, he
Off of
left
the turn.
him a car width on the inside of the corner.
More than that. He was as far out as he could get going through the outside of that turn. He left him plenty of room. And the reality is Reynolds sent it in there so hard that that he slid up into it.
Yeah, he understeered mid corner.
Yeah. Yes.
So as someone as someone who's done RC before, I would look at, no matter what the rule book is, I would look at that and I would think, no, that's an issue for Reynolds on that one. Like he's come up the inside and then dived up the inside.
I mean, unless they were. Yeah, and I mean that part was definitely his fault, and the stuff that occurred there on the end after the lap or whatever, maybe that was playful, fun. Maybe they do that. I don't know, Well, we have some guys that do stuff like that, and
yeah. I mean,
so that may have been without knowing, I don't.
Exactly. Well, Michael Gonzalez is in the interview waiting room. Blake Reynolds has gone in there, but we're not going to talk to Blake. He hasn't won the race. We'll chat to Michael Gonzalez, though. Mr. Gonzalez, P1 on the road in race number 1. Doesn't come without a little bit of controversy, though, in that race. You had the lead up into turn 5, and then Blake decided to dive you from about 2 car lengths back, and unfortunately got himself spun round when you've turned into the corner. You left him plenty of room. Did you even see him coming up your inside for that corner?
No, I think that was a pretty just, bonehead move.
Yeah.
I don't really know why you would trust it on the brakes at all there. I don't think it was clean at all. He was a whole brake marker back and just sent it. So I don't really know, but that's kind of what you get in a Corvette driver, honestly. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, obviously then there's been a reactionary moment at the end of that race from him as well, so he's obviously not happy with the moment. But from our end, from our viewpoint, Michael, it didn't look like you were in any wrong there. You've left him a car width on the inside. He's understeered into the corner when he's gone for the dive, and you've just kept it going. I mean, that's both mine and Jim have agreed on that from in the booth. So. But, I mean, a good race from yourself. You had the pace over the field in qualifying. You managed to put the car on pole. What was kind of the mindset coming off the start line, obviously? Rolling start, trying to get the power down as early as possible, and just trying to defend that inside line. I mean, what were some of your thought processes coming into the start of this race?
Well, I mean, it was really just see if I can pull the line behind me with draft to keep it even with Blake. We're on a tight points battle, which probably played into that dive of his. But yeah, I mean, it was really just trying to get as many cars between him and I. Didn't really work out that well, but yeah, we'll see where it takes us in the feature here.
Well, realistically, we're halfway through the season now. Like, this is round 4. You were 1 point behind him, as Blake's in here now. So you were 1 point behind Blake coming into this race. It's probably a good question for you, actually, Blake, as well. 1 point difference. You were giving up only a few points in this race. What was the thought process on the dive at turn 5?
Oh, well, clearly the overlap was there, and he turned in on me.
Not from our point of view, Blake. You've dived him from 2 car lengths back, and then he's left you a car width on the inside.
Well, that's unfortunate. Clearly you haven't gone to the Max Verstappen driving school.
Typical vet driver.
Well, in Max's world, he probably drove right across.
I'm going to trust the word of a 3-time world champion.
Shows you all you need to know about him.
Clearly, he turned in on me. It wasn't like Gonzo told me to dive him.
What was your thought process there? Did you just send it just to see if you could get by him, or because it was clearly, you were in there way too hot.
Well, this is just a fun league, and me and Gonzo, we were in the Discord just absolutely raging at each other, and clearly he said, I dare you to try it, and I said, sure, why not? and then he turned in on me.
Wow.
I figured there was something like that going on.
That's a bit of he said, she said off the back of it. He told me to do it, so I will go
that's
for
good
it.
stuff. Yeah. No, I love it. That's awesome.
No, but
He left me 3 lanes.
Yeah, no, he
he did.
It's not
but
enough.
He needed to leave you just a highway's width.
He might have gotten an off track. He left you so much room.
And clearly, I needed an off track too.
Clearly, you
Yes,
needed a shortcut across the corner.
Well, unfortunately, there for your point standing, you did get an off track there when it spun off track, but that'll cost you a couple of points. There's still plenty of time, though. You guys obviously have a lot of the season left, so that's good. I'm glad to see that was all in good fun. I had a feeling that could have been like that, and I'm glad to see that it is. That it makes me love this league all the more.
Yeah, I full throttled him afterward because I was clearly upset.
I don't know if I can race this feature. I'm physically
I'm
ejected
distraught.
from the vehicle.
Well, luckily for you, there is a doctor on track for you guys to go and talk to about any mental instability you may have had off the back of that race. Best of luck in race 2. It'll be a long one for you. Try not to spin yourself around again, Blake.
I won't, because I'm going to beat him.
Okay, well, we'll see what
luck
happens
with
in
that,
the
boy.
race. Best of luck, boys.
Goodbye.
Oh, but
I just had a feeling with that after the race thing. There's no way he thought he was right,
yeah.
And I knew that, and that's great though. I love the way they come in raging at each other. That's awesome.
It's very
that right there was
that was very Netflix of us, wasn't it? Just have a heated discussion
was.
in the booth with the drivers. Starting grid for this race, though, will be as follows. Reverse top 8 grid for you. Brian Son will start pole position ahead of Paul Mikolajczyk on the front row of the grid. Row number 2 and Joshua Filior will start on the second row with Blake Reynolds and Matt Kingsbury on the third. Justin Nasir, Michael Gonzalez will start in the top 8, with the rest of the drivers starting how they finished out race number 1. John Ebersole in P9, P1 for the AMs. He did well in race number 1. Kevin Fanning, Martin Mofta, Josh Ondo for the top 12, with Jason Lynn, Anthony Flores, Rob Edgell, Ray Kingsbury, Carsten Quinton, Dylan Hunter making up the grid for race number 2. The longer race to come here this evening for us, Jim. Race 1 had some good battles. Bit of in quotes, chaos, controversy at the end there. Just a bit of fun between friends. We all have a bit of fun on track between ourselves in our own little leagues, I'm sure, Jim. I've had plenty of fun with my mates. My friend still blames me for a moment at Winton in the Legends, but
I blame Winton. Winton is I struggle so bad at that track, it's unbelievable.
Winton in the Legends is extraordinary. It is one of the best cars to drive around there.
I just raced that race a couple of weeks ago, and it was a blast. But I need to reach down here and reset my second PC real quick. So
Yep.
I'm going to be off for 1 second. I'll be right back.
No worries. All good. So whilst we roll round for this warm-up lap, be sure to get into the chat with us here this evening as well. We had a chat during that race from A, saying hello and saying let's get this thing rolling. Well, race 2's about to get rolling as well. Plenty of racing to come here this evening for the Penguin RC Simcar Grand Am Gt3 series, brought to you here on JP Broadcasting. If you're just joining us, I'm Hamish Munro, joined with Jim Cunningham here this evening for this race. In my neck of the woods, the sun is out, but the sun is set for a lot of drivers in this field. And they're getting ready to go for Road America. This race could be something special. This circuit offers up so much potential for some quality racing as well. And with Son and Mikolajczyk on the front row, Ritu and Filior in behind them, this could be something quite spectacular for us to sink our teeth into. 45-minute race to come, though. More points on offer. Bit of fun between friends across the whole field here in Simcar. That's what it's all about. Leaving plenty of room and giving yourself plenty of opportunity to make up positions. If you're new with us here on JP Broadcasting. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit the stream like button as well. Let us know you're enjoying it. And click that bell icon so you're notified whenever we go racing here on JP Broadcasting. So much racing to come here on the channel, including the 23 Hours of Zolder charity race for Jimmy Broadbent this weekend. Guys, do not want to miss that. Max Verstappen will be racing. We've got 3 parts set up to go live streamed here on JP Broadcasting. If you want to join me on the graveyard shift, come and watch part 2 as well, or try and watch all the 23 hours as we raise money for charity across the board of that race. Are you back with me yet, Jim, or not? He's not back with me yet.
I am indeed.
Oh, you are. Good. Fantastic. Perfect timing,
I am
Jim.
here. Yes.
Perfect timing, because we're coming up through Thunder Valley, and these cars will be thundering down towards turn 1. Now, Mikolajczyk and Son, teammates on the front row. Which one of them do you think just kind of slots in behind the other?
Again, I think it falls to the guy that's going to be on the inside of turn 1. It's hard coming from a pace lap to get enough pace on the outside to get around them. So I got to believe it'll be Brian.
Well, as we come towards the start-finish line, the uphill run, don't be surprised if some cars further back were to get left behind, depending on when they go green. Race has started, though. Green flag is waving out at Road America. Mikolajczyk and Son still side by side. Reynolds trying to make it 3 right down towards turn 1, but Ratu is going to cover him off as they rocket around. Son's dropped spots early as Mikolajczyk has now taken the lead. Phil Yours up into P2. And plenty of papaya orange inside of the top 8 at this stage, with Ratu and Reynolds dropping spots. Reynolds is already outside the top 7 here, Jim, as he's had a struggle through turn 1.
He kind of swung out there wide, or to the inside, trying to make it 3 wide back there, and it didn't work out for him at all. But what surprised me the most is he's not protecting he's not trying to protect being up front in the points. He's driving hard, which you got to love that. I mean, he's not laying back there trying to pick them off one by one. He was trying to take a chunk out of them one time.
He thought, I could get 5 free positions by turn 1. Surely, just give me that inside line.
He's driving aggressive. Look at him.
He is.
Watch him close this gap up right here.
So Reynolds Gonzalez is the next car up the road from him at this stage. Ratu just ahead of him. There's been pretty much only a couple of movers thus far. Biggest movers of this race is Gonzalez, who's up 3. Kingsbury's up 3 at the back of the field. And then Matt Kingsbury further up is up 3 as well. So both Ray and Matt, they're up 3 positions apiece, as well as Michael Gonzalez. Ratu has dropped a spot. Biggest loser is Brian Son. He's down 7 spots off that pole position there, Jim. So he's struggled off this race start.
Yeah, clearly. It's tough, man. I'm not one that does very well from a pole position. I didn't see him make a mistake, but clearly he must have, spun his tires or something happened for that many guys to get by him that quick.
He might have just been willing to let them go and not fight it too hard, maybe, as well.
Maybe.
But Mikolajczyk leads the way at this stage. He's got Phil Ewan behind him for P2. Ratu trying to get it past Kingsbury into turn 1. Gonzalez is right there. Will he make it 3 wide into turn 3? No, he's going to hang out and wait as Ratu gets the job done. Gonzalez trying to take advantage. Couldn't quite sneak it in there. He might try and line this up, though, for turn 5.
Those papaya cars were trying to put him into a Ratu sandwich there. They were on both sides of him.
Ratu sounds like a type of cheese, doesn't it?
Something, it's French. Everything sounds good.
No, it's very true. It's very true. Even the name Roman.
Look, there they go again.
There it is, 3 wide at turn 6. Oh, my God. Oh, phenomenal battling. You got to love the rule set of this series. I mean, must leave racing room, can't turn across someone. It leads to some real heart and mouth stuff. I haven't even gotten used to it yet. I'm just expecting them to turn across on each other. It is phenomenal racing, though, across the board in this series. And that rule set is what has led to this level of racing and this level of racecraft between the whole field as well. But I have a feeling they might struggle in some other leagues where they aren't as willing to give you an excuse to leave racing room.
Oh, I don't know. These guys can drive, man. Look, it's harder to leave a guy. It's harder to leave a guy a racing room and still race clean.
This is true.
You know,
this is true.
You're gonna go. I mean, they just went 3 wide through turn 6 at Road America.
I don't know anywhere else I've
happen.
ever seen that. I'll be honest with you. I don't know where else I would have seen that before.
That's racecraft. That's racecraft right there. That's guys being able to control their car. That's good stuff.
That's real good stuff. So, as row number 2 has the hot seat here, golden ticket to see Blake Reynolds try and get this move done. On Matt Kingsbury, slots it up. He's inside at turn 1, gets the job done from Reynolds. He now moves into the top 5, and Gonzalez is right there ahead of him as he tries to chase down Phil Yor and his teammate Mikolajczyk. Kingsbury not quite willing to take that position back from Reynolds.
Yeah, they're making their move back to the front, sure.
They are. Very early in this race. I mean, we're only a tenth of the way through, 4 minutes, 50 seconds out of 45. Maybe they might get P1 and P2 just by the end of the 10 minutes. Let's make it light. Chicken Phil Yor. Oh my God. This is some.
There's so many McLarens in this race, all with the same color scheme.
I know, and they're not all teammates either. They just have a very similar livery on their car, whether they've based it on something or what.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I think that's the. I can't think of it. The McLaren team boss, the Formula One team boss.
Yes,
he owns a American or something.
So United Autosports.
United Autosports.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of their color scheme.
Yeah, it's a very similar color scheme to United Autosports, which is owned by Zach Brown and
that's so bad that I forgot his name.
And Andretti and Walkinshaw as well. So
I was emailing Zach Brown a month ago. I can't believe I couldn't think of his name.
Oh, big moment there from Mikolajczyk into the final corner, catches some grass, spins it out wide. Very lucky not to rock it back on the track and end up in the way of that traffic. That was very lucky from Mikolajczyk. But Phil Yor leads the way now. Gonzalez P2, Reynolds P3. The prediction's pretty much on at the moment, Jim, for P1, P2 by the end of the 10 minutes.
Yes.
This is looking more and more likely. The only driver out of this race thus far is Dylan Hunter, who didn't get going, but these guys are on a rocket ship pace to the front of the field.
Well, to be honest, they were in a rocket ship pace all the way from qualifying. You know, those two guys were a second faster than the rest of the field, just about. And
I wonder if their fuel's been tested, because I wonder if they're using rocket fuel at the moment in these cars.
It could be. It doesn't take much. A few octane boost is good enough for just a little extra horsepower.
Or just force everyone else in the rest of the field as Gonzalez and Phil Yor battling here. Remembering Phil Yor is a debutant in the league this week. He only signed up in between round 3 and round 4. Needs to be careful of leaving that racing room, as does Gonzalez though. Some great battling as Reynolds looking to get it done the outside around the carousel on Phil Yor. Has to slot back in, might go for it down towards Canada corner in the hard braking zone. Bit of an easier spot to do it down there.
Can you imagine being the new guy? Now, I don't know if he's new to the league or not, but can you imagine being the new guy and pop? Because these guys are obviously all pretty close, you know, the way they were playing with each other and everything there. Can you imagine being the new guy and you're in the lead and these two guys are chewing you up like that?
Yeah, they're just they're probably chirping him in their own chat as well. Just been let's get him, you know. So I'm almost certain that they will be. Oh, he's in the chat with them, so they'll all be chirping each other, I'm sure, at this point. I've just checked that they're all in the room together in the Penguin RC room.
And again, he may have been in this league for a while, just not racing in this series, you know.
Yeah. Or he might have raced in this league previously, but hasn't been available for the start of the season, possibly.
Right. So there's no guarantee he doesn't know these guys. But if he is truly new here, talk about some pressure, man. Running up front with two of the 2 points leaders, and obviously this is a close-knit group. So which most leagues are. Which if you're watching this and you just race officials or things like that, then go out there and find you a league that races the type cars that you like and the time frame that you like. And well, in fact, watch some racing on the JP Broadcasting, because that is exactly how I found the leagues, the 2 leagues that I'm mainly in, was watching JP racing and JP's broadcast of these racing leagues, and I was like, man, those guys, that's good racing. I want to go join, and I did. And
there's so much racing on offer being broadcasted here on the channel. Of course, I mean we've got two concurrent streams happening at the moment, Jim. Not just Simcar. We've also got some other leagues being broadcasted as well. There is so much. There's so much out there. No matter where you are in the world, depending on your time schedule, you might find a league that is based in the US. Say you're based in the UK, you find a league that's based in the US that actually better suits your time schedule than what a UK league would. Or if you live, there's a couple of Australian leagues that I broadcast. We've got some American drivers that get up at 2, 3 in the morning to come and race with us because it works better for them than racing later in the evening. So it's finding that balance for yourself. And family, the car type you want to race, the time when you're racing, if you've got work. Sometimes it's better to race somewhere that races in the middle of the night or in the middle of the day than being able to race at 7:30 or 8:30 in the evening.
Yeah, and well, I do that. I'm retired, so during the day I like to race, and there's not a lot going on in the U.S. during the day, so I end up racing against a lot of the British guys who are getting home and doing their 7 o'clock in the evening races, and that's mid-afternoon for me,
Or if you wanted to race in the evening, for example, if there was an Australian league, for example, that was racing, say at midday, you'd be able to go racing at like 7 o'clock in the evening. Yeah,
actually, I've looked at that with supercars. They have some supercar races that race during the day over there, and it fits into my time schedule.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're looking if you're looking for a supercars league, Jim, I know of one that is specifically for people over the age of 40, and they have nearly 200 drivers in that league.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's
The
fantastic.
point being here with we're not that we're ignoring the race here. These guys are knocking off.
There's
some
been
left.
a moment at turn 5. That's Kingsbury off the road of Flores as well. So there has been a moment with them down there. We'll check out what's happened just quickly whilst we were chatting about sim racing. What's happened between them? Oh, he's just gone too deep.
Oh, slid up in there on him, got him coming a little hot.
Yeah.
Break point.
A little bit too much sizzle on that one from Anthony Flores, unfortunately. It's unfortunate for Ray.
When you get them front tires locked up on a Porsche, man, they slide quick.
Oh, they do. They do. And the Porsche hates the rear end. The rear end will just say hello at any point. So
oh, yeah.
You got to feel for Ray Kingsbury, though. He very unfortunate in race 1 to make a mistake at the kink in turn 1. And then now this race as well. I mean, he's still up a position from where he started, but just not the night that he would have hoped for.
No, tough day for him. May not be his track, Everybody's got a track that they don't race well at.
That's right.
Just doesn't fit your driving style. Just doesn't fit the lines. You don't see the lines. It happens. Happens to everybody, all the way up to the Formula One guys.
That's right. And some circuits suit one car better than others, and circuits often suit driving styles better than others as well.
Yeah.
At the moment, Marlon Mofter is leading our AM class, P1 on that standings. In the top 10, though, P10 at this stage on the overall. John Ebersol in behind is P2. Carson Quinton has gone up 5 positions in this race. The current championship leader of the AMs, he's back into P3 in that field. For the Gt3 class at the front end for the pros, Gonzalez is leading with Reynolds P2, Kingsbury P3. These drivers have done well thus far. They're all up a bunch of positions. Gonzalez, though, up 7 at this stage into P1 on the road.
Yeah, they. Why is it showing Blake Reynolds only up 3 spots?
He didn't finish P.
started-
He didn't finish P2. He finished P4 of race 1, so he started P5.
That's right. That's right. I
Yeah.
forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure did, huh? That's funny because you had them penciled in as 1 and 2, and then I forgot about that whole little episode they had.
Look at
Yeah,
how you cut out 1 lap of that race, and it's like it didn't happen.
Yes. Well, and clearly. No, that was great that they had. I don't know that I would have been goofing off that much if I'm the points leader. With a guy 1 point behind me, I probably just by my nature would be a little more serious about it. But I love the fact that they had that attitude about the whole thing.
I do like as well that even though there was a mistake made, they were mucking around slightly. But one thing I would think, even if I was championship leader, even if it was my own league, I'm not going to risk losing my points to have fun with my friend. I'm going to try and consolidate my position.
Yeah, that's me. But I love the fact that they can be that loose in that situation. That tells you a lot about
their friendship or
attitude and their confidence. Yes,
exactly. And fair play to them.
In knowing, yes, absolutely. I just I'd be nervous and protecting my lead, or doing whatever, trying to grow my lead. I certainly wouldn't be doing that. But I love the fact that they're that comfortable like that. That's fantastic. But I do want to finish real quickly on our thought. Watch some stuff on JPBroadcasting. Find yourself a league out there, and go hit those guys up, and join a league, and do some league racing.
Leagues are better than officials.
Absolutely,
they're better than officials.
It's free. Because in officials, you're always worried about your I rating or your safety rating or improving. It doesn't matter. You could be a D-class driver and you could go out and join a league that races B-class cars, and it's okay, and they accept you, and it's fine. That's the beauty of league racing.
Well,
they accept everybody.
They do. And it's,
most of them are so welcoming.
And they are, and that's exactly right, Jim. You can find you can make some really good friends in league racing. Some of the other benefits of league racing, obviously, most leagues will have live race control. Most leagues out there will have a live safety car, or they'll use the iRacing safety car. And I would argue that maybe 8 out of 10 leagues would have a broadcast as well, whether it's live or on a replay.
Especially now, yeah.
Yeah, especially like after COVID and stuff like that, more and more leagues have come about, and more of them are getting broadcasts. We've gone from the boom period of people joining sim racing to now being in the boom period of leagues, and leagues being broadcasted because people have stuck around.
And there's money leagues out there.
There is,
where you pay maybe $100 a year, and there's a big prize money and sponsors and drawings and raffles.
Yep.
I mean, it's all out there. If you want to find you a free league, there's thousands of them.
Oh yeah, they're
and
you pay for what you get as well. More. If you find a free league, you're less likely to get the live broadcast, live race control, live safety car. Right. Paid leagues are on a complete spectrum. You could go from $10 upwards of, to then upwards of $35 or even $50, depending on what you're paying for the league. Can really be dependent on what you're getting from the league. But there's so many options out there, and there's so much on offer. I would argue for nearly every major road car, there'd be a league.
All right, sorry.
That's okay.
Blake just took a hard run at him right there.
He did.
I thought he was gonna make a move on him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
I thought we were fixing to have some action there, but he didn't get it done.
Yeah, he was really hoping to set that move up, but could not quite get there in the end. Kingsbury, Filliard, Nasir, they're battling in behind as well. This is the battle for the lead of this race. We're not quite at the halfway point thus far, ladies and gentlemen. but there is so much racing yet to come, especially the 1v1 between the two championship competitors of the Pro class. At the top end of town, Gonzalez and Reynolds, they'll keep this battle going all throughout this race, as there's been an incident in the background for John Ebersol, who was P2 for the AMs on the road. He was chasing down Mofta. He had Quint in behind him, and it's happened at Canada Corner. Oh, and it's unfortunately a typical Corvette spin.
Oh, no.
Oh, that could have ended very poorly. That could have ended very, very poorly for Carsten Quint.
Ooh.
If he was half a second earlier...
That is literally... That's what you talked about earlier in the beginning of this broadcast. You talk about a car spinning right there and it being a blind corner. I had called it a blind corner, and you said car spins, you're sitting in the middle of the track, you don't see him, you come around, you got a split second to react.
Exactly. And if Quint was half a second... if he was to that corner half a second sooner... He could have easily hit John Ebersol there. And
in both of them's race.
Yeah, exactly. So he's very, very lucky at that point. Marlon Mofta, though, still leads the AMs. The top 9 are all in the Pro class. Paul Mikolajic's just at the back end of it. Brian Son, Roman Ratu, their battle's happening at this stage. They've got Kevin Fanning up the road from them. So they look to go 2 wide through turn 7 up towards turn 8. Ratu's got that job done in the Porsche. As a big send from Paul Mikolajcic on his teammate, Brian Son gets the job done. Great move there.
I thought he was going to send it on both of them.
I did too. I thought he was going to... Oh, I'll take that gap on both cars, thank you. But no, he backed out of it on
Ratu.
He
was literally going to send it right down to both of them. That would have been epic.
Oh, Ratu!
Oh, no!
No! A Porsche moment has happened again at the kink.
They didn't have contact,
No,
did
they didn't. They didn't. That right there is exactly what happened to Ray Kingsbury. As JP would call it, a Porsche doing Porsche things. The rear end comes round and says
JP
hello.
line right there.
It is. So look at that. He's just lost it on his own.
Oh, yeah, he lost. Man, how about the job to avoid him?
It was a great job by them to avoid him. This was on board with him.
Yeah, Mitchell. I want to see on board from Michelik's car.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get an on.
How do you say his name?
Mikolajcic. Yeah, it's
Mikolajcic.
Paul Mikolajcic.
Paul, as far as I'm concerned.
So we'll get the on board with Paul Mikolajcic.
Right, I'll call him Mr. Paul.
So this was back on the move that he had on Brian Son, but we'll stick with him here all the way down towards the kink. So we both thought he was going to send it, but he had to back out of it last second. Tucks in behind Roman Ratu. And then let's just watch here. So he's trying to park the car pretty much right in the middle of the road, get late apex, get the speed out of that corner. So let's watch this. Because this, again, this comes back to that half a second moment. Yeah, there goes the car. He's just let... And you know what? He just let the car run wide to avoid him. That's smart driving by Paul. That's a very smart move.
Yeah, well, to not overreact right there.
Yeah, just
to maintain your cool.
Just bleed the steering out.
Cool right there.
Yeah, bleed the steering out to it's slightly straighter. Let the car run out wide to avoid the spinning car. One thing that I often see, Jim, and I suppose you can kind of build on this as well if you've ever seen it, is often at times there'll be a crash, and if someone's approaching the crash, they'll aim for where the car is not. If the car's in movement, they'll aim for where the car is not. 9 times out of 10, they'll hit the car because the car will end up moving to where they've aimed to go. I find it's better to aim either where the smoke is or where the car is if it's moving because you're going to avoid it.
In America, in stock car racing, it's always been said when you're at these higher speed tracks to aim where the car is at, because when you get there, it won't be there.
Exactly right.
And of course, that line was even made more famous. It was made more famous in the Tom Cruise movie Days of Thunder.
Phenomenal film.
Yeah, where he told him, you always aim for, and then he ended up having the big crash because he aimed for where he was and he was still there, But yeah, that's the big line, and it had been in American stock car racing for years. Is you just aim where they are, and they won't be there when you get there.
Yeah. Or, you kind of just you kind of hope that you either aim for where the car is if it's in movement, or you aim for the opposite way you think it's going to go. So a lot of times,
Yes.
if a car's spun, they'll aim at the back of the car. If someone doesn't hold their brakes, that car's going to roll back in your way. If they have held brakes and you're aiming to the left, they're going to slide forward, and they're going to be where you've aimed your car. So, best chance,
Tell you what,
just aim for where it is.
I'm old, man. I'm old. I don't have all that time to do all that thinking and process all that information.
I did the
My,
6 hours of the
I
Glen
just
earlier
got-
this year, and I had the wet stint, Jim. And my thought process for the wet stint was, let everyone go past me. I'm not willing to battle and lose this car. So there was a car. We kept an eye on it all race. He was driving quite erratic, and I saw him coming up behind me towards the bus stop. And I thought, you're going to go on my inside. I'm going to let you go, but you're going to hit that because obviously obviously in the wet you want to avoid the puddles as much as possible, and the puddles always pull right on the apex. I'm going to let him go up my inside, hit that puddle, and I guarantee he's going to spin to the left. What happened? He went up my inside, into the bus stop, he spun, and he went to the left, and I just aimed my car to the right and went right around him. It's
Yeah, well, I mean, look, to be honest, that's a big part of being a good driver.
Yeah.
Is you always see inexperienced drivers blaming people for running over them, and you try to tell them that's your fault too. How is it my fault? He ran into me. Because you need to see that stuff coming. That's part of being a good driver. That's the difference between a D-class type driver and an A-class type driver. Those guys can see trouble coming, even if it's behind them, and they put themselves in a position to where they don't get tied up in it, or they let somebody go instead of fighting them and getting wrecked. You make it up later.
It's a control the controllable scenario, isn't it? You're in a 6 hour race. You're 4 hours into it. If you were to crash now because you want to defend a position with 2 hours to go, you've ruined the work you've done in the first 4 hours. It's not worth it.
Yes.
The 15-minute
only that,
race where Blake's centered on Michael, for example, they're they're friends, they're having fun, but it's the last lap. If you're willing to have a send, you're going to have a send. 6 hour race, you're not going to do that. 45-minute race, you're not going to do it now, halfway through this race.
Right.
Like, you're going to wait till the final 5 minutes when the race is on.
But that's one of the biggest things that you hear new people to sim racing. They're constantly, wherever they're at, either in forums or chat, whatever, and they're always talking about how much bad luck they have and how people don't know how to drive, and they're constantly getting run over, and and it's never their fault. And you talk to a good driver, and they'll tell you that that's the difference, that they have an ability to see that stuff coming and to avoid it. And that's why they finish races.
And, I mean, oftentimes, there is genuine bad luck in sim racing and real racing. You come up to a corner, someone's had a crash, they're parked on the road, they haven't checked their relative, and they've just pulled out in front of you. You can't do much about that. That's bad luck.
No.
There's no way of aiming where a car is or is not for you to determine, is this person going to be patient or smart enough to look at their relative and to know, I'm only a second off where they're parked, they shouldn't pull out just yet.
No, that's absolutely true. And again, what I would say to that, again, if you have enough awareness about you, if the guy that's in front of you, that's potentially going to happen. Like you see the guy in front of you, you've maybe looked at his safety rating or his I rating or his previous driving habits where he's kind of erratic and stuff, and you factor that into your decision. When you see the guy spin in front of you, maybe you slow up a little extra just to make sure he doesn't pull out in front of you. You know what I mean? That's right now. That's what I'm focusing on in racing, is trying to be more self-aware, aware of my surroundings more so, and driving accordingly.
I think that's always a mindset you've got to take in racing, is just trying to, especially racing like this, stay predictable when you're in multiple classes. And if you're in a lower class, just stick to your line. The faster car or the faster driver can get around you. There's no point. If you're erratic or you're going offline, it's harder for them to predict where you're going to be so they can make the move safely. But at this stage, we have got around about 20 odd minutes to go, about 18 minutes left in this race. Blake Reynolds is hot on the heels of Michael Gonzalez. He has been sitting inside this rear end mirror of the McLaren in front of him for around about the last 5 laps here, Jim. Ever since these boys have gotten to the top 2 spots, they've just been building that gap back to Josh. It's out to 9 seconds, but their gap hasn't really changed. It's stuck within about 2 tenths to 3 tenths all the way, and they're setting very consistent
Believe me,
laps.
we're gonna get a race. We're gonna get a race for the lead here. There's no doubt. It's just a matter of when it happens. I've been sitting here waiting for Blake to make a move on him, I think at this point it'll happen, but they're probably just waiting.
I think that this will likely only come probably until the last sort of 10 minutes of the race. And that's what one of these time races is like, when both the top 2 are together all the way. You're more or less just trying to race or to drive to the point of where the real race begins, which is in the last 15 minutes. So, or the last 10 minutes really is where your battle starts to happen for the top 2. So we likely won't see Blake start to attack Michael until that last 10 to 5 minutes. But it's still very interesting at how consistent they are with these lap times and how well they've been able to just hold out together and cut consistent laps together.
Yes, well, they were close in qualifying. They were certainly close in the first race, and they're running nose to tail again. This is my first race, but these guys are clearly very equal in what would appear equal in skill, and their equipment is, fairly equal. It seems like they're running right with each other. I tell you what, I'm just waiting for the time when they decide to cut it loose and go for it, because
it's going to be cut straight to them, and it's going to be cut straight to them and just sit on them for the last however many minutes they have whilst they battle towards the checkered flag.
I've been looking back at the AM field to see if what's going on back there, and they're just, gaps are just kind of being maintained back there. They're just, Marwin's got a nice little lead there. He's just doing his thing.
Well, there is P2 in behind him.
Competitor, I think.
Yeah, it's Karsten. So he's about 2.5 seconds off him. So he has gained some time back on Marwin, but this might come down to possibly the last 5 minutes, maybe. It might take him 10 minutes to cut down this 2-second gap. It might not. Might take him only 5 minutes to do it, and then we get 10 minutes of hard racing between them. So the battle for both leads could be on. We're guaranteed that the battle for the lead of the race overall is going to be on, being that their gap has not changed the whole race. So we're pretty much, as soon as we get to
I don't think they've been a second apart.
Apart from when they were coming through the field, no. Ever since they got to P1, P2, they've been right next to each other the whole way.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been no gap opening either way. Karsten Quinn does look like he's kind of closing that up a little bit, doesn't he?
He does. He actually really is. So it might only be in the next couple of minutes, actually, that he does get onto the back of Mofta. So battle for this AM lead could be on with 10 minutes to go, similarly to the battle for the pro lead as well. Ironically, Solpec cars are in both, being Blake Reynolds up for the battle for the win and Karsten Quinn in for the battle for the AM win this evening as well. So both those guys will be hoping to get a double win for their team. We can see Paul Mikolajczyk, Brian Son, they've just started to gap just a little bit now. Up to half a second is the gap between the teammates. Paul is really pushing hard through that kink. He's caught some grass nearly every lap we've caught him going through there.
Yeah, well, that's using all the track, That's what my coach keeps hollering at me every time.
Yeah, you want to try and find, use your track limits to your advantage. Speaking to a lot of top sim racing drivers here in Australia, a lot of them have the same mindset of find where the track limits are and then try and draw it back in so you can find where you can race all over the track, and practice racing offline if you have to, because you're never going to be running the perfect apex every single lap. You'll be battling, you'll be defending, you'll be trying to pass people. It's important to battle every aspect of tackling a circuit, whether it's learning those offline runs or learning how you can best attack somebody. And if you're in a car that has variable weather, well, it's good to learn the outside lines, because you do not want to run on the regular racing line in the wet, being that the puddles will start to form right on the apexes.
Yeah, I mean, for people that don't have a league that does like organized practices where you're out there on track with 10, 15 guys or whatever, throw up an AI race too. Oh, look at this little move. He's got right up on him there.
I feel like we're both hungry for this battle to really start to get into it. I feel like
we know it's coming.
Yeah, Blake's holding us on a knife edge at the moment. We're just waiting for him to attack the back of Michael Gonzalez's car.
I'll tell you what, to be a fly on the wall in their team their league Discord chat, I bet you they're talking it up.
Oh, the amount of chirp. It'll be like a bird.
Based on the way those guys.
It'll be like a birdhouse, Jim. They'll be chirping at each other at the maximum level at the moment, I'm sure. I mean, they will not let either of them have it for free.
I'll tell you what. You watch the way these cars are reacting. They're picking it up a little bit.
They are. They're really pushing now. All right, we're 10 minutes to go. This is when we thought maybe the battle will begin. I don't know if Blake's going to be willing to wait for 5 minutes to go. Gonzalez, though, set the fast lap of the race, 2:04.162. Reynolds has gone 2:04.175. So they are right on each other in terms of lap time, in terms of ability. Can you imagine if they got a 3 in the race?
Amateur battle has closed up too.
It has moffed up, and Quint is now down to 1.5 seconds.
Second and a half now.
Yeah. So Quint may start to catch him here.
Coming.
They are. And Filio and Fanning, their battle could begin for P3 as well. So couple of battle packs starting to form. The battle for P3 could be on in the final few minutes. Battle for the AM win could be on.
Here comes the racing.
Oh, the racing! We've made it. We've waited only 36 minutes for the real racing to begin at this point. But that's always the landscapes of these races.
Action,
we have. Yeah,
that's normal. We had some good action when they were coming up through the pack and stuff, and it's been a good race. A lot of good clean racing, good passing. That's all you can ask for in these kind of races. They're not just wreck fest.
Well, as a viewer, I mean, we've lost 5 cars in this race, but as a viewer, or even a commentator as well, you got to have the patience of knowing that the mid sort of 20 minutes of a 45-minute race is always going to be less chaotic than the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes and the last 10 to 15 minutes, because more like the mid part of the race is you're just trying to get to the end. You're trying to get to the point where you can have an opportunity to battle someone and not ruin your own race at the halfway point. That's what Blake and Michael have been doing this whole midpoint of this race. So we had a lot of action at the start when everyone's trying to settle themselves in. They then settle in their positions after 10 or 15 minutes. They then get into a rhythm, and then it's the final 10 or so minutes as Gonzalez has set a 3. He's done a 3.97. Reynolds is just off with a 4 dead. So times are coming down. The pace is quickening at the front of the field. We've got less than 10 minutes to go, Jim. We are getting into the nitty and gritty now of this race. This is when the battle's going to start to happen. You watch. These guys are going to go for it.
He just turned a 3.9 on old tires. That was just off the qualifying speed, and he just ran a lap almost as fast as the qualifying speed here in the last 10 minutes of this race.
He did a lap that was less than a tenth faster, less than a tenth within Blake Reynolds' qualifying time that put him P2. That's what that lap time was for Michael Gonzalez. Like, he is...
That's incredible.
It's incredible. And, I mean, Reynolds was within 0.2 of his qualifying time on that last lap. So they've both got great pace. The gap is between them of around about 0.2 of a second, which it has been the last 9 laps of this race. Ever since they got onto the top 2 positions, they've built gap. It's up to 12.2 seconds. Back to Josh Fillior. So the 1v1 of the championship contenders of Gonzalez and Reynolds is on for the final 6 minutes of this race. Gonzalez took the net gain in the championship lead after race number 1. But can Reynolds come back and take back the lead of this championship? He'd have to beat Gonzalez to do it in this race. I feel like the opportunity is against Reynolds at this point. To do that over Gonzalez would be a wondrous move and wondrous occasion for Reynolds, who is the defending champion. As we come up to start lap 20, 39.5 minutes in, Jim, we've got 5 minutes to go.
Let's not lose sight of the fact that we're making all this fuss about Gonzalez fast lap he did there. On the exact same lap, Reynolds was less than 0.2 of a second behind him, speed-wise. So he picked it up too. You know, we noticed Gonzalez's lap, but he didn't put any distance between him and Reynolds. Reynolds picked it up right along with him. And, you know, he was 0.2 behind him on that fast lap. So they're both, you know, that's incredible, man.
They've both done a mega effort. They both have.
That is some fast laps to be 20 laps in on these tires.
So, Sitting Frogs asks, what are the license requirements to join, or how can you participate? I'm going to put in there the Discord link for Simcar Sitting Frog. That should have all the relevant information for you on how you can sign up, and you can contact the admins on how you can get involved. So copy and paste that link into your browser. It'll take you to Discord, where you can sign up for Simcar and get all the relevant information. We're at the halfway point of the season, so you would be joining with only 4 rounds to go. But it is a good opportunity for you to get out there, do some racing with some quality drivers in the field. I don't know if there is a license limit. If there was, I would say it's probably Class D, Jim, which is most leagues' limit.
Most leagues, yeah. Very rarely do you see, you know, now they may put you in the AM class, you know, and see where you're at, unless you, a lot of these leagues base their AM and their pros on iRating, you know.
Yeah.
If like
which this, I believe this league does do that. I believe when you sign up, it's based on what your iRating is coming into the series. So I believe it might be a minimum of 2K for pro class, possibly. I could be wrong.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, but we've got 3 minutes to go, Jim. Gonzalez leads. Reynolds is hot on his heels. 0.18 of a second between them. Battles on for the lead. Sun is setting in Road America. Who can take the win? Will it be Gonzalez, the new championship leader, or can Reynolds fight back and claim it back off him towards the end of this race? Oh, this could get heated and spicy for us, Jim.
Man, it's heating up in the battle for the amateur class. They're down to a half a second.
They are. So we'll keep an eye on them. Here comes Reynolds. Sends it up the inside at 5.
He's got it. He's got it.
They're side by side still. Gonzalez has just got ahead of him up into turn 6. They come. Reynolds up the inside of Gonzalez. They're banging doors. Still side by side into turn 7. Gonzalez takes back the lead of the race from Blake Reynolds. What a race. Oh, this is on. It's on. And this is what we've been waiting for, Jim.
That was right in the same spot where he spun it in the first race.
But he was
right back in the same hole.
He was closer this time. He was more calculated. The gap wasn't out to half a second. It was within 0.2.
Oh, yeah, this is good racing here, man.
They are getting into this thing tooth and nail. Up towards Canada corner they come. Gonzalez covers the inside line. Reynolds on the outside. Can he get the job done? up towards Thunder Valley now. They're still side by side, Jim. The battle's on. Only a couple of minutes left. It'll be the final lap of the race when they cross the line, and they are separated by barely anything as they touch doors. Oh my God.
That touch might have knocked Reynolds back enough. It's going to be hard for him. He's got little time. This is going to be the last lap here.
It will. Final lap of the race. White flag is out, so there's only a couple of opportunities left for Blake Reynolds to get this done. We saw what happened at the end of race 1 when he sent it down at turn 5. Is he going to do it again? But will it work out better?
You can believe he's coming. Somewhere he's going to send it.
Oh, will he lick that
maybe
stamp?
Not. He may not want to throw away. He may not want to throw away points like that. But
yeah, this race is. Although he has got 12 seconds of
man.
gap back to P3, so it might be worth the send possibly from Blake. But down towards turn 5 they come. He hasn't sent it this time, but he's tucked right up behind Gonzalez.
Oh, Gonzalez, he spun the tires a little bit there and lost the rear end a little bit.
So Reynolds is all over him into the midpoint of this circuit. 0.2 of a second between them. If Gonzalez were to take the double win here this evening, it'll be a big chunk of points over Reynolds in the championship standings. He was going to try and send it. He is on the grip limit of this Corvette. You saw him get it loose off the exit there, Jim, as he's trying to apply the pressure now to its absolute maximum over Gonzalez.
Yeah, I think he was trying to show him the nose there a little bit to set him up for Michael to make a reactionary move and him to undercut him there. But I don't think he's close. I don't think he's going to get him unless he makes a massive send here somewhere.
Well, he's tucking right up behind. There's contact. Oh, he's going to do the right thing. He's going to wait for him. He's going to let him go. That is great sportsmanship from Blake Reynolds there. Phenomenal sportsmanship. They had a 12-second gap over Phil Yaw, so fair play to Reynolds. That was phenomenal sportsmanship. Final corner for them now. Gonzalez is going to come up the hill. He's leading Blake Reynolds to the line. It's a double win for Penguin RC as Gonzalez goes back-to-back at Road America. Reynolds comes home P2 in a phenomenal display of sportsmanship. Phil Yaw comes home on the podium in his first race. Fanning P4, Son P5. Mofta is just going to survive ahead of Carsten Quinn. It took him that final 15 minutes to get right onto the back of Mofta. He probably needed another lap, Jim, but Mofta takes it for the AMs.
Yeah, he got there, and to be honest, he was there a couple of laps ago. Mofta opened the gap back up just a little bit. Mofta did a good job there holding him off and defending that position. What a finish, though, and what a great show of sportsmanship, too. Now, I'm sure they're probably going to wreck each other right here.
They probably will. I think it is almost guaranteed that they will probably wreck each other into this race. Maybe not. Maybe they'll be nice about it. But last guys to come across the line, it was Lynn to Edgell to Ondo. So what a race it was for Penguin RC. Simcar Grand Am Gt3 Championship here this evening.
So let's go back and look at that spin real quick before we get them in the booth.
Yeah, we will.
Can we go back and look at this? Yeah. I want to see I would like to see it from if there was actual contact. I think there was.
Yeah, there was. There was contact.
Oh yeah.
So whether it was minor net code or what, there was contact. So Reynolds did the right thing. Clearly. He was sportsmanlike about that. I mean, they had gap enough for him to be. To have sportsmanship about it, so that's just good, clean racing between two very good friends, it seems, and a great display there from him as well. But our provisional race results for the feature is as follows: Michael Gonzalez takes out the win overall on the road tonight. He won both races, getting a good chunk of points and giving him the lead of the championship. After round 4, Blake Reynolds will finish out in P2 with Joshua Philyaw for P3. Fanning and Son will make up the top 5 with Mikolajczyk making an all-pro top 6. The top 3 of the AMs will be in behind them for P7, 8 and 9 with Marwin Mofta, Carsten Quinton, John Ebersol for their top 3. Justin Nasir will make up the top 10. Jason Lynn, Rob Edgell, and Josh Undo were the last cars to actually cross the line in this race. Matt Kingsbury, Roman Bratu, Anthony Flores, Ray Kingsbury, and Dylan Hunter not making the checkered flag out there. As we have got our top 2 on the road tonight, Blake Reynolds, Michael Gonzalez in the interview waiting room. We'll drag them both in this evening, but we'll quickly just grab some B-roll footage for you, just so we can watch a bit of action while we have a chat, some Jim. But I mean, fair play to Blake Reynolds. Fair play to him. I mean,
That was great. Yeah.
you know, top notch to do that and to actually, you know, give some positives about this race once again. So it's a bit too early actually.
Yeah, no, that was great. Great hard racing, and they got together, and great sportsmanship right behind it.
So let's drag both of them in. We'll
Okay.
have a chat to them just quickly. Mr. Reynolds, Mr. Gonzalez, you guys were hanging out pretty much all race together there, only separated by barely a whisper. You were pushing hard. I mean, Michael, you got into the 3s in that race, which was a phenomenal effort, but you then also, I mean, obviously you both had that little touch in the last lap, but great sportsmanship from you, Blake, just to wait up and let Michael continue on. That was, yeah, hats off to you. That was great sportsmanship, and you had the opportunity to do it with a 12-second gap back to P3.
Yeah, we crashed and we were both screaming that Josh was on his way. So we had to skedaddle out of that incident.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, that was some great racing.
What
Yes.
what was that race like for you guys? Obviously, coming through the pack a little bit. Michael, you had a bit more work to do starting back in P8. What was kind of the thought process throughout this one? Obviously, trying to get to the front as early as possible. It only took you both about 9 minutes to get to the top 2 positions. So, what was that first 9 minutes like to actually race around other cars before it was just both of you on your lonesome?
I mean, I knew that we were saying going into it that it was going to be difficult to pass if you were just by yourself. I think most of my passes were done off of a 2-wide battle in front. So I was just using whoever was slower as a pick, and then did a little cheeky 3-wide move in a corner that 1-wide is crashing. So yeah, it was just pick people off when they made mistakes and then go from there.
You're pretty much same. Just take advantage of a 2-wide situation, follow the guy through. At the start there, it was super sketchy. I got a run on Rateau. He just didn't get going, and I made the move 3-wide. He just kept fading over into the wall, like it was like a Schumacher situation. It's like okay, and then I had Nasir pushing me, so I had to lift without getting turned by Nasir, and I got back in line. But I got really shafted there at the start. Gonzo went 3-wide around the outside at turn 1, and I think I fell from 5th to 8th. So unfortunate, but I followed him through there, and then I was just stuck in his dirty air draft. Well, lack thereof. The Corvette is still slower on the straightaway in the draft than the McLaren.
Well, you guys were pretty much involved in what is mostly known as the most awkward part of a race, is when you're just trying to get from the start of the race to probably the last 5 minutes, 10 to 5 minutes, when you can start battling with whoever you're stuck with the whole way, especially in these types of cars. So you guys sat together for probably around about half an hour until you started to then push for faster lap times in the last 10 minutes. The final 5 minutes, obviously, it started heating up as you were battling for the lead. So, you obviously, I was actually surprised. I mean, Blake, you went for the send on the second last lap. You nearly pulled it off, being that you were that slightly bit closer. I'm surprised you didn't go for it on the final lap that time, but maybe it's because you thought, there's a bit more points on offer here, even though there's 12 seconds. Not really willing to spin yourself once again at turn 5 with Michael right ahead of you?
Well, I was just too far back. The reason I went the first time was because I was 0.2 back, and that last lap I think I was 0.4 back, so it was not going to work, obviously, after we learned at the first race where he turned across my nose.
Hey,
I was 0.4 back then.
you know what? He didn't turn across your nose. You obviously turned to the right and spun your car into the side of him. That's what you did.
Really? I really did.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly. Dude, I mean, I went so hard on the second last lap because I knew I knew I would probably be better at defending than actually passing, just because, I mean, you saw I was in draft that whole race, and he still would pull me like
Yeah.
a tenth down every straightaway. So I had to do something.
I mean, he was doing
and-
faster laps than you, and you had the tow. So
I mean, yeah. And
he's.
we were a second faster than the whole field.
Oh, you were
pretty much.
You were, yeah.
So, once we, I got close and I made the dive, and then it's just awkward through the turn 6 and on section before you get to the carousel. You try to hang the outside, the corner's off camber. It's just kind of awkward. So, Corvette did the best it could. I think a P2 will satisfy my needs. My teammates unfortunately crashed out. So shout out to Soulpeck Precision Racing. Beautiful
Ray had
beautiful
a real unfortunate race across both races tonight. Obviously had the typical Porsche moment, as James would normally say, through the kink, and then race 2 he unfortunately got rear-ended by Anthony Flores, so he did not have the best of nights. Next week, gentlemen, we go out to Barber for another. Well, we're on for a triple header actually the next couple of weeks, but Barber next week. Tough track. I've never raced around there in a GT car. What's the thought process going into next round?
Ginzu?
I have no idea. The last time I did a GT3 race at Barber was never.
I've never done one. Have you done one there, Blake?
No. I don't think I've done a GT4 race, but I've raced IndyCar there mainly.
I've done a supercar race there, and qualifying is horrid because of if you get offset there in qualifying, you never really get an opportunity to get a lap in.
Yeah, it is kind of a single file track, easy to mess up just because there's no forgiveness. Unlike here, there's a lot of paved runoffs, a lot of exit curbs. Barber, no such thing. It is grass, so that should be good. I think the race will be decided in qualifying, unfortunately, but it should be a good show either way. Either way.
Are either of you going to kiss the spider?
I might find my
where
way
is
over
it?
there.
It's like
What turn
right.
is it?
I think it's right in the middle of the track. I think it's like turn 5, maybe, at Barber. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Jim, how much have you raced at Barber? Do you know where the spider is
I think
located?
Just Indy cars, but I got my coach. His name is Blake Rodriguez, and he's one of those. He's doing that Porsche Cup series that's got big prizes like a racing, like you get a real seat in a real race car and all this stuff. And I watched the Porsche Cup race there 2 weeks ago, and he was telling me that place it's really tough to get around, even in a Porsche Cup car, which are roughly similar size to these GT3 cars, a little smaller and a little slower, but that place is tough, man. A lot of elevation changes, a lot of tight, windy curves. I love it in a Formula car, but I don't think I'd want to be in a GT3 car there.
Well, we've got Le Mans the week after, which might just be a bit of a tow fest. So we could get all of our chaos next week. But Blake and Michael, thank you so much for coming and have a chat to us, gentlemen. Is there anyone you guys would like to thank or give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
You guys for broadcasting.
Yep.
Love the broadcast. Fun to go back and watch. Simcar, great league. Penguin RC, great team, great setups, great iRacing peripherals. And I don't know, the squirrel outside.
Soulpeck Precision Racing, Abruzzi, Channel 199, and you guys, of course, are broadcast. Too Fast Racing, of course, they sponsor the league. Big shout outs.
Well, you guys will have when you watch it back, you'll finally have a full-blooded American on your broadcast. So enjoy that next to my subtle Australian tones. So, but best of luck next week, gentlemen, at Barber. We look forward to seeing how you go. Michael, you now lead the championship into the next round. So we'll see if you can hold on to it or if Blake can come back.
We'll see. We'll see.
Good racing tonight, guys. I sure enjoyed it. I really enjoyed you too. Your attitudes after the first race, that was great. That's the beauty of league racing right there. Guys that know each other well have a good time. That's wonderful. So
Always
thank you.
Thanks for a good show, guys.
All right, guys, we'll let you go.
Yeah.
Best of luck next week. Enjoy the week of practice. We look forward to seeing how you go then.
See you then.
See ya.
Thanks, guys. Well, Jim, that will bring an end to our show this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a massive, massive race here tonight, obviously out at Road America. As I mentioned, it's a real little hidden gem of sim racing and real racing as well in America, in American motorsports. We touched on Barber Motorsports Park, where we'll be racing next week for round number 5. That should be a hot prospect for us. We've got to give a shout out to all the league sponsors for the Penguin RC, Simcar Grand Am GT3 series, of course, the Penguin RC for the title sponsorship, 46 Limits and Too Fast Racing as well. And thank you for joining us here on JP Broadcasting. If you're new here with us, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon so you're notified whenever we go racing. Jim, thank you so much for joining me once again. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here with me here tonight.
Yeah, it was good, good fun, good racing. I enjoyed working with you. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs along the way too. It was good. And thanks to JP Broadcasting for letting me do this. And and again, thanks to the league, they put on some phenomenal racing tonight. That's what you come out to see. So
it was fantastic.
I'm sure we'll
racing
see each other
again
soon.
I'm sure we will. Jim.
Yes.
If you guys want to hang around this weekend here on JP Broadcasting, as we mentioned, we have the 23 hours endurance race out at Zolder being broadcasted on the channel for Jimmy Broadbent and as a charity to raise money. So be sure to stick around across the weekend. The race will be happening on Saturday night / across Sunday as well. So be sure to come and join us for that one. But I've been Hamish, joined by Jim Cunningham here this evening. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being with us. Until next time, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.